You bought basil at the store, but it will die by Thursday. You watered it, even sang to it, but it still withers before your eyes. The truth is, it's not your fault. Store-bought basil is doomed. This lush pot is not one plant, but a disorderly crowd of seedlings. They fight for light, space, and food until exhaustion wins. Stores need a beautiful window display, not durable greenery. Your basil is a disposable decoration that is eaten and thrown away. But what if it can be turned into a thriving plant? You can with a few simple techniques and proper pruning. By the end of the video, your basil will finally be blooming. The basil you brought from the store looks like one lush plant. They are actually 20 to 30 tiny seedlings squeezed into one pot like sardines in a can. Everyone is fighting for survival in this green crush. Take a closer look the next time you buy basil. You will see dozens of thin stems intertwined at the base. These are clonal seedlings, planted tightly for quick visual impact rather than longevity. The root system turns into a continuous felt of intertwined roots. Plants literally choke each other, competing for every drop of water and grain of nutrients. It is not surprising that such a colony cannot last more than a week. When you remove the plant from the pot, you will see one solid block of roots with not a single free space. This is not a healthy root system, but a desperate attempt by 30 plants to find room to grow in a space intended for one. Stores sell overflowing pots not out of malice, but out of simple commercial logic. Consumer psychology research shows that buyers choose full plants 70% of the time over single seedlings. Pomp sells better than health. Imagine the choice in the store: one skinny stem in a large pot versus a thick green carpet in a small one. Which one will you take for tonight's dinner? Marketing departments have long understood this and are creating a product for instant consumption. Growers call these grasses throwaway crops, a term from commercial gardening. These plants were never meant to last long on your windowsill. Their job is to look appetizing on the shelf and provide leaves for one dish. Moreover, the rapid death of basil is beneficial to retail chains. You come back for a new pot a week later, creating a steady stream of sales. The cycle of failure works like clockwork, bringing profit to every link in the chain except your wallet. The first step to saving your basil is to completely dismantle this green chaos. Carefully remove the entire mass from the pod and get ready for archaeological work. What you see will resemble a tangled ball of roots without beginning or end. Don't panic if half of the roots break when dividing. Basil can survive even with the loss of 30% of the root system. Plants are much tougher than we think. Start disassembling with your hands, slowly separating each seedling from the total mass. An alternative method is to immerse the entire lump in warm water for 5 minutes. Soaked soil is easier to separate and the roots become more flexible. However, this method turns the kitchen into a swampy area, so prepare towels in advance. Your goal is to get individual plants with their own roots, even if they look pathetic. One stem, one pot. An ironclad rule of salvation. Resist the temptation to leave 2 or 3 kids together for company. Every rescued seedling deserves a custom home the size of the original store pot. A container that is too large will lead to stagnation of moisture and rotting of the roots. A container that is too small will lead to rapid drying out. The golden mean gives the roots space to grow without unnecessary problems. A prerequisite is drainage holes in the bottom of each pot. Without them, the entire rescue operation will turn into a slow drowning of plants. Basil hates wet feet, and stagnant water will kill it faster than overcrowding. For indoor growing, use a mixture of cocoa peat and perlite in equal proportions. This combination provides the perfect balance of moisture and air, and at the same time does not attract annoying fungus gnats. All-purpose blends like Psycho are great for new basil rescuers. After planting, water each pot thoroughly until water appears from the drainage holes. Then, place the new residents on the sunniest windowsill in the house. They need time to recover from the shock of separation and put down new roots in fresh soil. Most people ruin regenerated basil by improperly harvesting the leaves. They tear off one leaf here and there, turning the plant into a bald stem with sparse remnants of greenery. Such basil will never become a lush bush. but will slowly wither away from exhaustion. The secret to long-living basil is proper pruning instead of random picking. A University of Vermont study found that pruned plants produced 30% more leaves than those whose greens were simply picked. The difference is colossal and is visible within a month. Basil grows from the tops, not from the base like many other herbs. Each time you cut off a growing tip, 2 new shoots will emerge from the node below the cut. 1 stem turns into 2, 2 into 4, and so on in geometric progression. Wait until 2 pairs of true leaves appear on the stem, then cut off the top just above a leaf node. The small leaves in the axils will turn into new branches in 2 weeks. Repeat this process every few weeks and you will have a real basil bush. Do not throw away the tops cut off during pruning. They will become material for new plants. Basil is propagated from cuttings so easily that it seems like magic. 1 stem with a pair of leaves turns into a full-fledged plant in 2 weeks. Place the cutting in a glass with regular tap water after removing the leaves that will be underwater. No rooting stimulants or complex manipulations are required. Place the glass in a north-facing window. Direct sunlight kills cuttings faster than drought. After 7 to 10 days, white roots several millimeters long will appear on the stem. This is a signal to action. As soon as the roots reach a length of 1 centimeter, transplant a new plant into a pot. Don't wait too long. Water roots don't take root well in the ground. 1 saved store-bought basil is enough to create an entire plantation on the windowsill. Each pruning provides material for new plants. Each new plant is ready for reproduction in a month. The mathematics of reproduction works in your favor. Basil is native to tropical Asia, where the sun shines 12 hours a day all year round. Your windowsill in the middle zone provides, at best, 6 hours of direct light in the summer and 2 hours in the winter. This difference explains why homemade basil often looks pale and elongated. A plant needs a minimum of 600 micromoles of light per square meter per second for normal photosynthesis. It sounds complicated, but in practice this means a south-facing window in the summer or additional lighting the rest of the time. North windows for basil are a slow death from light starvation. Without sufficient lighting, the stems stretch in search of light, the leaves become smaller, and the taste becomes bitter. The plant spends all its energy growing upward instead of forming a lush crown. The result is a long, skinny stem with pathetic leaves at the top. LED phytolamps solve the problem all year round. Modern models like Sansi consume little electricity and produce a spectrum close to that of the sun. 12 hours under such a lamp replaces a whole day in the Mediterranean sun. Basil stops growing at temperatures below 12 degrees Celsius and may die at 10. This tropical plant has never seen frost and does not understand what a cool night is like. Batteries that switch on and off create temperature swings that kill the plant slowly but surely. The ideal temperature for active growth is from 20 to 25 degrees around the clock. In a greenhouse in summer, basil shows maximum productivity. The leaves become large and fragrant. Room temperature is acceptable, but keep the plant away from cold windows and drafts. Watering depends on lighting and temperature. The more light and heat, the more water the plant needs. In a greenhouse in summer, basil requires watering every other day, at home, once every 3 to 4 days. The key rule is to test the soil with your finger rather than watering on a schedule. Use a moisture meter for precise control. Optimal soil moisture is between 40 and 60%. Allow the top 2 centimeters to dry out between waterings, but do not allow the ball to dry out completely. The golden mean between swamp and desert. Fast-growing basil consumes nutrients from the soil at the speed of a race car burning fuel, especially if you regularly prune it and force it to constantly grow new shoots. Without feeding, the leaves begin to turn yellow, growth slows down, and the taste becomes watery. A balanced fertilizer such as NPK 10-10-10 or a universal fertilizer for indoor plants solves the problem. Feed once every 2 to 3 weeks, following the instructions on the package. Tomato fertilizers work great too. Basil and tomatoes have similar nutritional needs. Too much fertilizer is more dangerous than too little. Overfed basil produces soft, watery leaves with a bitter aftertaste. Such plants become a magnet for aphids and other pests. It is better to underfeed a little than to give the plant a chemical shock from excess nitrogen. Yellow lower leaves usually signal starvation, not disease. Timely feeding will return the plant to a healthy green color and active growth. Properly cared for basil can live and bear fruit for months, turning from a store purchase into a permanent resident of the windowsill. The basil rescue principles work with almost all store-bought herbs. Coriander, parsley, and mint are sold in the same way. Dozens of seedlings in one pot for maximum visual impact. All of them suffer from overpopulation and are in urgent need of resettlement. Coriander is especially capricious and prone to bolting, throwing out flower stalks instead of growing leaf mass. Regular tip pruning delays flowering for several weeks, extending the harvest period for the fragrant leaves. Without pruning, the plant blooms in a month and becomes unsuitable for cooking. Mint grows even easier than basil, but requires large pots due to its aggressive root system. One saved mint stalk can fill a 3-liter container over the summer. Keep its growth in check with regular pruning, otherwise you'll end up with a mint jungle instead of a tidy plant. Parsley lives the longest of all herbs with proper care, up to 8 months at home. It is less demanding of light than basil and tolerates coolness more easily. Start with parsley if you doubt your gardening abilities. Now you know the main secret. Store-bought herbs are not made for survival, but this is not a death sentence. Every overflowing pot contains the potential for an entire windowsill garden. Instead of one purchase for the week, you get months of fresh herbs. Statistics from the UN Food Organization show that more than half of purchased herbs are thrown away in the first 7 days. Millions of tons of fragrant greens are sent to landfills because consumers don't know the simple rules to save them. Your new knowledge breaks this vicious circle. One rescued basil can provide a family with fresh leaves for 6 months with proper care. Propagation by cuttings turns it into an inexhaustible source of greenery. The math works in your favor. Instead of weekly purchases, it's a one-time effort with long-term results. Your next trip to the store will be a rescue mission rather than a regular purchase. You will see in every overflowing pot not a doomed decoration, but dozens of future plants waiting to be released. Your windowsill will never again be a cemetery of withered herbs.